Hey everybody, Kimosabe here, giving you an update on apparently the crazy eights that is coming back into play here. Um, Almost tagged 88,000. We're at 89,200. So $1,000 away from the 88. We'll see if it makes it to 88,000. We'll see a potential for it making it down there. You are coming to previous supports, like I was kind of talking about over the past few videos. Even back here, when I said price could come down here, and that would be your higher high, your higher low comes in at previous support. That's a buy setup. It should be. Now, let's turn this on to the closing price. I'm going to show you something. So, line chart, it's just the close. And I want to measure these highs from over here and how much higher did the trend go. So that's your higher high, and I'm measuring from that low. This is where you look for a higher low, because that's how much higher your higher high was. And it just so happens to be at previous supports. Now, this area does have to, of course, hold and make an uptrend out of it, but so far there's no uptrend to speak of. The daily is strongly in a downtrend, and it seems to like it that way. 4 hours still down. All the trends are down. So don't go calling bottoms too quickly. You can't say, well, there's the bottom, because that bottom is going to keep on bottoming. The same thing happened, I think it was over here back in early 2025, where you had people calling bottoms that just kept bottoming. So the same thing can happen here. I mean, this thing can just fall all the way down to 71,000. You are back in this previous range, and technically the target should be down at the lows. But we'll see if the middle of that holds. You'll probably get a bounce sometime soon out of here. But how high is that bounce? Well, you might just get one of these little bounces, and that's all you get, or maybe that bounce. But as soon as you make a bigger bounce than that bounce, then the bottom is in. If you close a daily candle higher high, the bottom is likely in. So the next higher high, you got to close a daily candle above 106 to make a higher high, and then you buy the higher low, and Bob's your uncle. So on a closing basis, your trend is currently down, but your monthly trend or your weekly trend, this is higher highs and higher lows. This is where you would look for a higher high or a higher low. Let's zoom into the 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart as well, very much a downtrend. You have a low, lower high, ever so slightly lower high, brought you to a lower low, lower low, lower high, lower low. So your lows are getting lower, and you're sort of accelerating here, but you may be completing a pattern here. So that's why I think you probably bounce pretty soon. Just matching the legs here, drawing it out. There's your ABC there. A little choppy sideways, and then the rest of it. So this pattern is at an area where it would be completing. It may have another stab down, but seeing as you're in the area for a higher low on the daily chart, on more on the weekly chart, but what I was previously showing on the daily chart, this is an area to look for some bottoming structure. How do you bottom? Well, you probably chop around, but it's very important on a 4-hour basis to get a higher high close. This can reject harshly thereafter, but as long as you make a higher high, you have an opportunity for a higher low. And that's what you want to see. And it may just result in something similar to this. And then you backtest 100,000, 101,000, somewhere up there, and continue your downtrend. And that's all you get. And there's your bounce. So that is definitely possible. You have a sell set up there at 101, 102, but you also have all these liquidities up here. So we'll see. We'll see how high the bounce gets. if you even get a bounce. We don't even have a higher high yet. You go all the way down to 1 hour, and you're still in a downtrend. Your first inkling of an uptrend, if you really zoom in here, would be closing a 4-hour candle above today's daily open, which is 92,100. If you close a 4-hour above that, you technically got a local bottom here, and you're likely to push up for those liquidities up there. So that would be the trade setup that I would offer. Let's draw it out. So closing above here, if this price chops around and eventually gets up there, you have your higher high. Try to buy your higher low at previous support. It'd probably be around 91.5 if I had to guess. So 91.5 could be your buy setup. Stop loss goes at the low, which is currently 89, 90, 89. Closing basis, it is 90,200, 380. There it is. But on a wick basis, there you go. 89,200 would be your stop loss. You do have a sell setup right there. That engulfing candle at 91.5, that's currently a sell. So if you break above that, close a higher high, your buy would become around there, if it even comes back for you. Yeah, this is starting to look a little better here. We still have 3.5 hours left to close this 4-hour candle, but if it gets up there, then who's to say it's not going to start some kind of uptrend? I'd watch for this leg to repeat, potentially up there on one more low. That could potentially happen upon the New York Open, but we'll see. This pattern likely completing. There's your accumulation range right there. We'll draw a box around it. And now your spring, and then you get back up in here, chop around, and then potentially move up. So watch your previous supports. This previous support right there, 92.9, and over here at 93.8. Of course, way down here at 91,200. So you might come up here, back test there, reject back down, and have a buy set up somewhere around 91.5 to then push up. Assuming price does bottom out of here, where is price going and how is it getting there? Well, I'd like to zoom out to the daily chart to show my current thinking. So we're at daily chart, and the box that I've been playing with for a while, it's the range. See where price is making it back down to this previous range low before giving you the spring, show strength that failed, it's going back down to support. So this can be an upthrust after a distribution. It's possible, but we'll see what the potential higher low gives us. So if price does bottom at previous supports, I would not expect this thing to rocket out of here, as every bottom that we've kind of had is chopped around quite a bit before just going vertical. Take us back to the bear market lows. This chopped around for a while before rocketing up, and then the next higher low chopped around for a few weeks before rocketing up. 2024, that one chopped around quite a bit, had people quite bearish all through here before moving up. The last higher low, this thing chopped in a downward fashion before breaking up. So I wouldn't expect this thing to rocket up. It might look like it's going to rocket up, but I don't think it does. I think we're going to match some patterns here potentially. So let's draw it out. If we do have this matching this, and there's your ABC matching legs. Since we're currently in the confines of this range, I'm thinking that we may go up and then chop and come back down for a double bottom. So this might be a sharp move up, and it'll look really bullish, giving you your higher high on a daily, and then you buy the higher low. That could be a double bottom if it's mimicking what these tops did. So tops predict bottoms, bottoms predict tops. Could have something similar coming out of there. And then at the end of December, you can start kind of chopping upward. And maybe in January, you can start accelerating upwards. If that pattern does play out, you'd be repeating the Trump rally thing when he got it inaugurated, which in log scale gives you a target of 200, about 208,000. So that would be a crazy 8. 208,000 is potentially on the cards. So your risk versus reward is pretty good here. If this does in fact double bottom and mimic that, you have a very tight stop loss. It could actually stop you out and then go. So you'd have to watch for an uptrend to start out of a double bottom if that comes to play. That would be sometime in December, probably towards the end of December, maybe around the 20th. Maybe it takes as long as this did. This was 30 days, so maybe you have a cycle low here and a mid-cycle low before accelerating. But first you need a daily candle close higher high. There's no uptrend to speak of out of this until you get that daily candle close higher high. So on small time frames, you can get little trades here and there, chopping up and down, but you really want to be interested in the larger trend as soon as this does close a higher high and buy the higher low, because there's your daily that's going to start going potentially way more vertical. First take profit, of course, is all-time high. If it holds above there and back tests it, you could have a buy set up there potentially. But if it mimics this leg the way this one went, it just went vertical out of that Trump rally thing. So if you get a double bottom, it might just go vertical out of there. Chopping around for a month, similar to that. Another possibility I could see is repeating this leg out of here, and then repeating that before that. And then that would look like a triangle. And this whole thing would be like a diamond pattern, which is a diamond pattern continuation, or this ends up being a bull flag, however you want to classify it, I guess. But any consolidation, your first thought should be continuation of the trend, and the larger trend is still higher highs and higher lows until this is a lower low, then you get the lower high. So on the daily, you still do have, like locally here, you have lower lows and lower highs. It could continue just like that and get you back down to these lows, take all that liquidity down at like 82,000. So that's, I guess, where the risk is. Do you come all the way back down, or does previous support hold as a support again at a place where you're looking for your higher low? So we will see. But wait for your trend to reverse. Don't be calling bottoms until it actually is a bottom. You don't have a bottom until you get a higher high close. You could, on the daily here, you could say 98. You close a daily at 98. Locally, you kind of got a potential for an uptrend, and you can manage risk off your low. But that's not even where you want to look for. You want this to close up at 108, 109, somewhere around there, to say, hey, the bottom is likely in. Your buy setup comes 99,000. You go higher high, your higher low comes in at previous support. Rinse and repeat over and over again. If you're actually trading this and not just, expecting, well, it's gone down too far, I'm going to buy it. That's not really trading. It can be if you have indicators or whatnot. There's certain methods to do that, but actual price action, if you don't have a process, you're either just going to get stopped out repeatedly or liquidated. So my process has always been wait for the trend to change, then try to enter. I did try to enter on an area where I thought would make sense for a low, which was 90,700. I tried to buy those previous lows and just got stopped out there for a very small loss. I put a half position on just to put my toes in there, but got stopped out. And I said, well, now I'm just going to wait for the trend to change. So give me a higher high I'll buy the higher low. No need to catch the falling knife that wants to keep falling. So nothing to do for anybody that wants to enter long. If you want to sell this short, you're valid. Your sell setups are valid until you make a higher high. Then you're probably going to push up. So that's my thoughts. Don't get wrecked, because you could have a very strong move that comes out of here and surprises everyone. When you do get your buy set up, you gotta keep them stops tight so you have a good night.